Hello and welcome to Recharge Wrestling. We are here to plug you into the world of professional wrestling. I'm Keeney and I'm joined this week by Fisher.
Hello.
Just Fisher this week. No, there's no Krusty. So we're back
Yep.
down to a two-man pod for the 2nd week in a row.
Yep. Bit of rotation. Right?
Yeah, exactly. A bit of rotation, getting the subs in. So this week we're going to run through the week in wrestling. As always, we're going to start with AEW. We would normally have a news segment, but I think kind of the news this week we'll mention it in the shows when we get to them. So we'll start with AEW, then we'll move on to SmackDown, Raw, NXT, and then we'll have a little look ahead to the next week of wrestling. So something new we're going to try and bring into our shows. So yeah, let's start with AEW, and I actually have no notes on Rampage. So I don't know if you have anything, because that did happen first.
Yeah, we'll talk about Rampage briefly first, and then move on to Dynamite, because Dynamite was probably the biggest show this week in general, not just AEW. We haven't started with AEW for a while. We've been normally talking about Raw and SmackDown, and then AEW at the end. But this week, definitely worth talking about. But so Rampage had a couple of matches worth talking about. There was Sammy defended his title, but I wasn't gonna. That one not too much to say about. But we got Mercedes Martinez versus Thunder Rosa. The only reason I noted this down is because I thought it was very interesting that they did a DQ finish, which is so rare in AEW.
Yeah, that is rare.
I really didn't expect it. The match was good whilst it lasted, and obviously they're doing another match which is now no DQ. So I guess they did that just to drag this out a little bit, really.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those feuds in AEW where it feels like really intense for something that's not really had any build to be intense. It just seems like Mercedes has come straight in, and all of a sudden she's straight into like a really intense feud.
We'll get there later, because I felt a bit like that with Hangman Page and Lance Archer to an extent, but it did not. That match was like crazy, considering the feud that they've had hasn't been that crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get what you're saying there, and yeah, weird to do the DQ, but do you know what? Because they don't do them that often, I was okay with it.
Well, that's the thing. I don't mind DQs and distraction. They do distraction finishes a lot, actually, but these kind of finishes are fine when they're not the regular. So yeah, I've no problem with it. Actually, it's actually quite a nice change, isn't it? Really, type of.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. Just didn't expect it. And then the main event was Ricky Starks v Jay Lethal. And I thought they had a really good match here, and it actually gave Jay Lethal much more of a showing than he's had so far.
Yeah, he's one that's come in, and I didn't know him before. I heard his name, but I've never seen him. And for someone to come in, and he's really flattered to see. For me, he had one match with Sammy Guevara, and then I don't think we've seen him since. Apart from a few, recently he's had a bit of a feud with Ricky Starks, but no matches. And yeah, just nice to see him wrestle, and say he was good here, wasn't he?
And I think the thing to note why I noted this match down was because of the finish was awesome in this match. So it was like a counter finish. Lethal goes for his lethal injection move, which is a sort of a flip off the rope, but Starks then countered that into his finisher,
Rochambeau.
I couldn't remember the name of it.
Rochambeau. Yeah, it's great finisher
in midair. And it just looked so cool, the finish.
Yeah, he caught him really well, actually, Starks. I do remember that. He did catch him really well. And the timing was bang on. Yeah.
I didn't have loads of notes from this match, but I did also notice that Starks did a bit of an Austin Theory. He was staring around with his phone.
He is a bit Austin Theory-like, isn't he? There's some comparisons there between them two.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of him when he was doing that. And that was basically all I wanted to say about that match. But yeah, I enjoyed those two matches in particular. On Rampage, I thought were very good. There was a couple of other, everything on there was okay, but yeah, those two were good. But yeah, we can move on to Dynamite if you want to start talking about that.
Yeah, I think we should, and I think it's probably best just start with the top mark. We'll kick off with positivity this week.
Yeah,
and probably the biggest news of the whole week is AEW had announced that it was going to be a debutant, and they kind of got a bit confused with their wording. It was like, oh yeah, there's going to be walking through the forbidden door, but a free agent signing, and Tony Khan's got an announcement, and he didn't actually announce anything.
And he also tweeted that he was saying, even if it's a company we don't get on with, that person can slam the door into the face of the. I was thinking, well, it's obviously someone from WWE then.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, surely it can't be a forbidden door if it's someone from WWE. No one from WWE aren't letting you willingly go, oh yeah, have like one of our talents for the day or whatever.
AJ Styles will pop over.
Yeah, it's not going to be that. So it's either a released person, which isn't a forbidden door, or it wasn't a WWE star, in which case it made no sense.
Yeah, I think it's just a bit confused messaging.
In the end, I think they covered both bases.
Yeah, they ended up twisting themselves in knots with all of the.
Well, did you see Tony Khan's tweet this morning?
No, I haven't.
Basically, he said, he even admitted, he was like, I got a bit tangled up with my tweet saying it was Forbidden Door when it wasn't. And I hadn't actually signed Jay White at that point. He got him on Sunday to sign.
Oh, really?
And then he was like, I've covered my back, because otherwise people would have been saying that's not a Forbidden Door. So he actually covered himself in the end, but he hadn't at the time. It was just going to be Keith Lee.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's the thing, isn't it? Keith Lee is the
and he's a great signing, by the way.
Yeah, I think he was probably the most expected when again, I think the wording confused people, and it confused me. I was like, well, who's it going to be then? It's not going to be the wording
made me think it was Mustafa Ali.
Yeah, because Mustafa Ali would have been quite a cool one if they would have managed to pull that off. But I think Keith Lee.
I just don't think it was legally possible.
to
be Mustafa Ali.
It's not going to work with WWE, but yeah, Keith Lee comes out with Isaiah Cassidy. I thought he looked brilliant. He seems to have, like, I don't know how to word it, but he seems a bit bigger than he did before. I don't know. And again, we know he had his honeymoon with Mia Yim, so we know he's been.
Yeah, he's just got married. Like,
literally, the weekend.
That's why I thought it might not be him, purely because Mia posted a picture of them on honeymoon.
They're obviously trying to throw off the scent. But I just thought Keith Lee looked great coming out. As soon as Limitless comes up on the screen, you know it's him. And I did read that he did trademark himself. He trademarked Limitless.
Okay, did he?
Yeah, from WWE. So he got that. So that's one of the things they got. And I thought he looked great, just presence-wise, which he does tend to, Keith Lee. He has got a presence about him.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But his wrestling here, I mean, again, perfect opponent. Isaiah Cassidy just flew for him. Just from the
his first move was basically like a pounce where he
ran up to him and he just pushed Isaiah Cassidy away, nearly threw him out of the ring. Mad. Just so, and perfect opponent. And Keith Lee is a welcome addition. I think they have many people like him. Yeah, there's not, Brian Cage is not liked. And again, there's been criticism of AEW in the past about not promoting wrestlers of color, so it's nice to see.
Yeah,
hopefully he gets pushed big, Keith Lee, because he should do. I mean,
he's straight into this. He's straight into this ladder match, isn't he?
Yeah, and we don't know who else is in there yet, but he's got to be a big favorite.
He should be.
Surely, the only thing about that, by the way, is for a TNT title match, the winner, but they're handed out every week. It seems a bit weird to have a match for a title, which is
that is a bit illogical.
It's an open challenge. Yeah,
that is a little bit illogical in AEW's booking there. To be
honest, I assumed it would be for the main title, but for the TNT seems a bit random, as that's a TV defended title anyway.
Yeah, Sammy defends it nearly every week. I mean, he just defended it on Rampage on Friday against Isaiah Cassidy, and then Isaiah Cassidy's in another match to get.
To qualify. It
was a bit of a mess but
it is. But the bottom line is Keith Lee is here, and that's my top mark of the whole week. Keith Lee, even though is probably the most expected person to be out there. Sometimes you don't need to be surprised. You just need
the right person.
You just need to get what you want. And Keith Lee, I think, is.
I think, to be honest, I think the Jay White bit was more surprising. And then, you got a surprise in that sense anyway. And then you got Keith Lee, which is just a great debut.
And I think that's a good segue onto Jay White. I don't know Jay White at all. I've heard his name a handful of times, but I don't know him very well. And obviously he walks out with his back to the camera.
Yeah.
And everyone seems to know him straight away.
Because he's got the switchblade jacket on. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, I don't know that. I originally thought it was Kenny Omega. I was like, oh, Kenny's back. That was because I don't know Jay, and he's got similar hairstyle from behind. And I was like, is that Kenny Omega? And then, no, it's Jay White. So I was like, oh, I didn't know who he was. I don't know. Again, I know there's history of him
and Kenny
Bullet Club. Yeah, they did mention that on the show.
Yes, I thought that was an important detail because a lot of people won't know that.
Yeah,
and obviously, there's the Bullet Club connections, and it's just interesting where the story goes because Adam Cole's kind of leading the elite and he's bringing his own people in. Like he's had the thing with Fish and O'Reilly.
Well, that was going to be a point I was going to make is where are they? I've seen Kyle O'Reilly for like a month now, I feel like. He was like their new addition and then he's just gone off. Like even the other week, they had Bobby Fish come down and not Kyle O'Reilly. I don't know if there's something up with him. I don't know, but
maybe I'm not sure. It is a bit odd. They do seem to be with the elite. They always seem to want to put so many people in it. I mean, you had Gallows and Anderson in there for a bit.
They just keep adding more and more. And I know Jay White's not assigned; he's just appearing.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be a permanent member of the elite. Well, we don't think so, but yeah, I just think I thought we were leading to Bucks v Fish and O'Reilly, and then Fish and O'Reilly seem to have gone away for a bit.
I mean, we may still get there, but yeah,
they are good at long term. Every story they tell is long term. Really, so the important ones anyway. They do just time short. I mean,
ones.
Do you know Jay White from before?
I know him. I haven't seen him wrestle much because I don't watch a lot of New Japan, but I know him and I know he's very popular and I've seen some promos. He's from New Zealand as well, which is kind of cool. It's a different sort of region to a lot of the wrestlers and that.
Yeah, I can only think of the guy at NXT UK, the Kiwi buzzsaw. Can't remember his name.
Travis Banks.
Banks.
Yeah, he's the only other one. There's not too many. I think B Priestley might be from there actually.
Oh yeah, I think she is.
Yeah. Or what's her name now? Blair Davenport.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. But there aren't too many from there, and obviously he's very, very popular in Japan, like Kenny was. Like he's probably not Kenny Omega level star, but he's not far off that level. He's built up a real reputation. There were rumors of WWE being interested in him a while back, which wouldn't surprise me either, because I think he's someone that would go. He's not someone that's signed to put on NXT. He's someone that could do what AJ Styles did and transition straight onto the main roster.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what he does. I'm looking forward to seeing him actually wrestle. I'm not seeing a whole lot of him. Like I say, I do know a bit about his history and what he's done and where he comes from, but I don't know too much about him.
No, nor do I.
Whereas Keith Lee, obviously, I know a lot about, and so I was more excited about Keith Lee purely because Keith Lee is great.
He is, and I think he got a good reaction as well. Keith Lee, he got really big pop, which is good.
I mean, AEW would pop for any AEW crowd would probably pop if
if you
anyone,
out.
They do pop for anybody, but Keith did get a great reaction, and
he did. Yeah,
that was nice to see, and the match was good as well. I thought it was really good. Like I say, you just threw him across the ring straight away, and it was a perfect first opponent for him, really.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely perfect. So I think we should probably move on to the main event. This is probably the next biggest thing on the show, maybe the biggest on the show, because it is the world title match. Not strongly hyped throughout the show. That's the only thing I will say. I thought for a title match they didn't, and I know it's.
I felt like that about this the entire feud.
Title
really,
match. Yeah, it's not really.
I mean, the end was the big thing, wasn't it? The after match almost was.
Yeah, but the match itself. Before we get to the after match, I thought the match itself. And again, it was just mad, just blood. Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I should have expected it because it was a Texas death match, but at the same time, I didn't expect it purely because, like I said earlier, it is the first match between the two in the feud. The feud's been there's been some decent angles, but it's not been going on that long. So it was a bit odd to have such a bloodthirsty, crazy match for a TV match. First match between the two people. Like if they did this with CM Punk and MJF, I'd get it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it was odd, but. Take that out of it.
It was good.
It was really, really enjoyable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those. Some people won't enjoy this type of match. Some people will absolutely love it. I'm probably somewhere in the middle. I like these matches, but I don't want to see them all the time. They're kind of a rare occurrence. I love
the start of it when they were brawling and Page hits him with the belt and chucks him through a door straight away. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, that was just the entrance, him attacking him before he could come out, because we know what Lance Archer does when he comes out, he just attacks people before he even walks into the ring.
Yeah.
So it's quite cool. I mean, the only thing is we didn't get a Hangman entrance, but that's a small issue. Yeah, straight through the glass. And then the interesting development where Dan Lambert was taken off the top ropes. And at first I was like, why is he doing that? That's a bit random. And then I realised
really clever.
For the buckshot lariat was brilliant.
I didn't, because at first I was like, oh, what's he doing? He's just taking the. I thought he was just taking the pad off. Or I thought they were going to do a Finn Balor demon spot. I was like, oh no, don't do that.
Yeah.
And then then I realized, because the commentary kind of said it, didn't they, as well?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, and then I realized what was happening. I was like, actually, that's genius.
That is clever,
yeah, it was really clever stuff. I really enjoyed this match. They do the blood and stuff a little bit too much.
Yeah, well, we had a fork to Hangman's face.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy that spot particularly, but I like the moves and the wrestling.
Yeah, there was one move which really made me wince a bit. Was Hangman? Hangman taking Archer's finisher onto the steps.
Yes,
outside of the ring. I can't remember what his finisher's called.
The blackout, I think it's called.
Blackout. I thought it was something black related. I was trying to think of. I thought maybe I got confused with Aleister Black, but yeah, it's a brilliant move onto the steps, and that would have hurt. I know, those steps are hollow, and we can see they're hollow, so it's not like he's going on to something with no give. But God, Hangman bounced off those, didn't he? That looked painful, and I was like, Jesus Christ, he's taken a proper bump there.
Yeah, that got a holy shit chant from the fans, and that deserved one, because that was a mega spot. And then the ending as well, the glass door at the start. There was a lot of really good stuff in this.
Yeah, there was the buckshot lariat over the ref, through the table on the outside of the ring. You know, those tables were set up early doors, and we know someone's going through them. And I think we all knew Hangman was going to win this match. I don't think there's any, I don't think you'd have got in a poll of 100, you'd have got anyone saying Lance Archer's going to win.
No, it was kind of obvious before the start of the match what was going to happen.
Yeah, a cool finish, a good improvisation with the ropes not being there. But like you say, the main talking point probably is the ending where Adam Cole comes out and confronts Page. And that is setting up for our Revolution title match.
Yes, that was the cool bit. I think that was, again, not too unpredictable. It's probably the obvious opponent for.
Well, I think
Page.
We've all predicted, haven't we? We've all predicted it on this pod.
Yeah.
In Page v Cole is probably the title match for Revolution.
Yeah, and it's just confirmed that. It's still cool though.
I think it's right, and honestly, I think there's a chance Adam Cole wins the belt. There's a real chance because they could move on to Cole Omega next, and there's a story already there, Cole Omega. So
yeah,
I feel a bit sorry for Hangman, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's just so interesting now with people like Punk, MJF, Moxley, Danielson not currently in the title picture. The fact you can have those four out of the title picture and still have like such an intriguing title match with Omega potentially coming back. Yeah, the top tier of AEW is just insane, really is. And yeah, let me move on then. We've covered that. Let's move on. Well, I mentioned him there, Punk and MJF. Well, MJF started the night with his celebration for beating Punk and being his heel self. I love the touch of Wardlow, like carrying stuff to the ring and not getting an entrance.
Yeah,
so like demeaning, so cleverly built into that storyline brilliantly. They all looked great. Again, Spears and FTR are so good at their roles as well. Behind MJF, they're so good. And he obviously just bragged about how he's beat Punk twice in Chicago, and it just led obviously to Punk coming out. And interestingly, Punk challenging Wardlow, not MJF.
I really like that touch because he said, I want a rematch, and MJF was like, "Well, no, man." He's like, "I didn't mean with you." He was like, "I'm on about the guy who really beat me," which was nice because obviously Wardlow was the reason that MJF won the match. So I thought that was really good. And then they said, MJF was like, "Well, if you can find a partner to team with you and beat FTR later on, but you can't have Sting or Darby out." Then, which I thought was an odd suggestion, but you can have a rematch with me, and I did wonder who that was going to be, but we got that later on.
I had no idea, but what a surprise it was.
Yeah, I didn't know who. I was trying to think like who's going to team with Punk, and I was like, normally if like Brian was still a babyface, that would have been like perfect because I was thinking, well, Punk and Brian would make sense, but he's not anymore, so it wouldn't have made any sense. But yeah, Mox was perfect. And that leads on to my top mark of the week, actually. Was this match between FTR, Punk and Moxley. Just really, really good tag team match.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It was a great hot tag from Moxley. Punk got sort of worked over at the start of the match. Moxley tagged in, was doing crazy moves everywhere. There was some fighting on the outside. Punk did a cool suplex over a barricade. Then Moxley went for a table. FTR put him for a table on the outside, the timekeeper's table out there. Mox just beat the count from that. They did a doomsday device. There was some cool near falls. They used the ring. Another near fall actually I really liked was Cash using the ring bell on Punk and then Dax hit the brain buster, and I thought that was it. And again, Punk kicked out, which I wasn't expecting. There was lots of drama in this, and there was a couple of roll up near falls as well. And in the end, they tapped out, but the ref was distracted by something, and then Tully sort of broke the tap out, the submission up. But they ended up hitting the double GTS and paradigm shift to win it, which I thought was really cool as well. Cool they teased that earlier on in the night, and it kind of got reversed, didn't it, earlier on in the match. But I just thought this match was awesome. Really, really enjoyed it. Great to see Punk and Moxley teaming together. I just never thought that was a team I never knew I needed, but I loved it.
Yeah, such a cool team. And the thing is, with FTR, you're going to get a good match. That they're about, I'm the biggest fan. I think they're the best tag team in the world. Personally, I think they're just so good. And you put them in there with two elite level single stars, it's going to be good. And I just thought this was brilliant. I liked everything. If we're including the opening segment into this as well, the whole
I remember
Punk, MJF, everything combined, it was just perfect to this storyline. I'm might have even said to myself, how can they keep this going? But they're doing it, and I think this now will go to Revolution. Surely this match, MJF Punk.
Yeah, I think that's where they'll do the next match. I thought they'd do it there originally anyway, and then last week, I know you weren't on the pod last week, but I said I think they'll probably do a second match. And maybe even a third one if Punk wins.
Interesting where Wardlow comes in, because he is going to turn. We all know he's going to turn.
Eventually, it's got to happen. Yeah.
We just don't know when, where, or will it happen beforehand? Will it happen at the pay-per-view? Will it happen after the pay-per-view? All three are an option, in my opinion.
We didn't even mention how MJF got carried into the ring as well.
Yeah, and what is interesting, actually, the commentator's like, I've never seen this before. I was like, it's King Corbin, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like, every king ever.
Yeah, this is Baron Corbin.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it's slightly a different version, but you're basically the same thing.
Yeah.
It did make me laugh when they say that they've never seen this before, and it's a wrestling 101 booking.
It's like being carried in. The only thing I thought would have made it better is if they'd have had Wardlow as one of the people carrying him. That's the only thing I thought would have made it a bit better. But it was brilliant. All right, I think probably the next thing to mention is the Inner Circle.
Yes,
having their summit.
I have to say, I enjoyed pretty much everything on the show. This Dynamite was. I've not always it was really praising AEW. I praise AEW, but not. I'm not afraid to criticize them and say where I think they're doing. If something was bad either. But I thought this show was near perfect. It was really, really good. And this segment again, I really enjoyed this. This was great.
Yeah.
Obviously Jericho comes out first with Sammy and Hager. Says he hasn't seen Santana and Ortiz all day. They come out eventually, and then really it starts off just Santana and Jericho on the mic for most of the segment, having pops at each other. And what I really like about this is you can agree with both sides of the argument.
Yeah, although I think we're meant to sympathise with Jericho.
I think so, yeah.
I'm not sure, because Jericho did come across a bit heelish, where he was like, I know, his character is always had the biggest ego in wrestling, but he was all like, oh yeah, I am,
the
influencer. The influence. That's it. No one has more pull than me, and he did make a good point where he was like, you got a title match.
That's what I was going to say, because he really made me think. Actually, you're right, because Sammy's got a title with him. So they can have. It's not like you can't get. He stops them from having opportunities. He's not like MJF where Wardlow's not allowed the opportunity.
Yeah.
And if Wardlow gets an opportunity, it's MJF's. Like Jericho's all for them having opportunities. They've had their chance and they blew it. Yeah. And I thought that was a really good point.
There was actually a point which wasn't made by Santana and Ortiz, which I thought would have been a really good point. Is if I was them, I would have been like, well, you and Sammy had a tag team as Le Champ or Le Sex Gods, whatever it was at the start. Then you and Hager had a little tag team run, and then you and MJF had a tag team run. And you made sure they were all pushed more than us at the time. And that's what I would have said, because that's what the fans were saying at the time when I remember there was like a segment where I think they were his heel at the time or something. And Jericho's like, me and Hager, we're going to get a tag team in the tag division. And everyone thought it was going to be Santana and Ortiz. And he said, no, it's me and Hager. And everyone was like, what? And I think that's something they should have brought up, because Jericho's had 3 separate tag teams within that faction.
That is a fair point, yeah, and they didn't bring it up, did they?
Yeah, maybe I'll come up down the line. But next week we have the
so it all broke down when Jericho said he hired the wrong 2 members of LAX. Santana got in Jericho's face, started hitting him, and then Sammy pulled them apart. Sammy walked off. He'd had enough, basically like sort your shit out,
Yeah.
And then that's when the challenge was made from Santana. So Santana on Ortiz v Jericho and Hager next week. To sort of sort this out like men with a fight, basically, is their idea. Hager was completely like in the background of this segment, didn't say a word.
He kind of has been throughout the whole inner circle, essentially.
Yeah, it sums up his role, really. He doesn't.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's good for Sammy to not get involved, because Sammy's doing other stuff. He doesn't need to be involved.
I think it's the Sammy part of this section they booked really well, because he shouldn't be involved in it too much.
Yeah, if they would have done Sammy and Jericho v Santana and Ortiz, I'd have been like, well, Sammy should be doing other stuff. He's a champ. So
I'm glad they
didn't.
As well, they kind of, because Jericho told him to shut up.
Yeah,
that gave Sammy the excuse to kind of go, well, I'm out of here then, because he was really on Jericho's side up until that, I think.
Yeah,
but that kind of he went, do you know what? I've just had enough of this in general. So I thought it was all really good. That segment, couldn't complain about that.
Brilliant.
And I'd like to, obviously the mentions about Eddie Kingston in there as well. Showed Jericho's sort of insecurities about him, because he brought him up, but then Santana and Ortiz defended Eddie Kingston a lot as well.
Yeah, well, this is not one of those kind of things where people won't know Eddie Kingston and Santana and Ortiz's history.
No.
And the thing is, I've watched Impact when LAX with Eddie Kingston were together, so I knew their partnership beforehand. And I think a lot of fans will, but a lot of fans won't. So it's good for them. Good for them to be like, because there must be some people thinking, why is Eddie Kingston like getting involved? Like, what's his relationship with Santana and Ortiz? So it's good for them to say that he's been as big an influence as Jericho has on their careers, which is probably fair. Other stuff from AEW. The only other note I've actually got is the TBS title.
Yes.
Was defended. Jade Cargill against AQA, formerly known as Zayda Ramir from NXT.
Yeah.
Her very short NXT run of like a month. But she was on there for a while.
On TV wise, about a month. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where I don't know if she did anything before NXT. I'm sure she probably did, but that's what I know her from.
All I know is that they talked about her training with Booker T.
When they said that, and I recognized, I was like, who is this? I had to Google it, because I didn't pick up on the Zayda Ramir before I Googled it. So I had to look it up. But yeah, I thought she looked good, AQA. I don't think she's signed, is she? I think this was just
I don't think so. I think this is just a tryout match essentially.
I'd be surprised with all the.
I really liked her shooting star press in this. She did an awesome shooting star press. That's all she really did in the match. I mean, it was mostly Jade, as you'd expect Jade to win comfortably, but she did do a really nice shooting star press. Which kind of made you think she could win, even though you knew she wasn't really. Jade just dominant, and Jade looked awesome here. Her last 2 moves, I don't know what the move she did before the finisher. I've never seen her do that before, I swear.
No.
It looked really cool anyway. And then she did a jaded finisher and just pinned her, which is fair enough.
Yeah, that's what it went from Jade Cargill.
actually, just one more little note from AEW as well. I was talking to the women. I really liked Serena Deeb's gimmick here, where she just come out and was like, "There's no one on my level. I can beat. No one could last 5 minutes in the ring with me. I'm going to show you." Then beats up this poor girl for like 50 seconds. Looks at the time, like realizes there's 4 minutes left. Waits till it's like 4 minutes, and then just keeps her on the time, and then taps her out inside a minute. I thought that was perfect. That was lovely. Serena Deeb's just on another level at the moment, which is great.
She really is. This is Timothy Thatcher-esque. It sort of reminded me of Timothy Thatcher had this Thatch camp bit in NXT for a while. That's what this reminded me of. But Serena Deeb is great at the moment. Really is.
There was David Arquette's daughter, Katie Arquette, as well.
That was David Arquette's daughter.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it is.
I assumed from the surname, but
I thought it was, and then I saw something about it earlier. I'm pretty sure it is his daughter. But so that was cool as well on the women's side.
Yeah, no, that was, and I think overall a really, really good Dynamite. As always, really, I can't remember the last bad one they had.
No, but this one stood out for me as extra good. I think. There was nothing on it.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that. Well, their last two main events have been Punk v MJF and Hangman v Archer. That's the last two main events in their weekly show. So that just goes to show they are throwing everything at it at the moment. And the thing is, their roster's so stacked they can afford to, and they can have those matches and still leave. And because they don't put pay-per-views on monthly, they don't have to wait for the pay-per-views for the big matches. It isn't just filler main events, which we see on WWE TV. Sometimes.
WWE TV has got better with its main events.
It has, 100%. It has, 100%.
But yeah, even so. And talking of WWE TV.
Yeah, let's move on to some WWE TV. And SmackDown was obviously first up on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess for me, the main talking point is Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, we'll start with that.
Yeah, I think her coming out at the end of the show. So I've got a few gripes with this segment. I'm actually fine that she picked Charlotte. I've no problem with that. I know I've heard a lot of kind of unrest that they would have preferred to see Ronda Becky, and maybe
I would have preferred Ronda Becky, but I don't care enough.
I think Ronda Becky, Sasha Charlotte might be better than Ronda Charlotte Becky Bianca, which I think is what we're going to get.
Yeah.
But I think there's not much in it. Personally, I think they're both fine options.
Do you know what? I wouldn't mind Sasha getting added into this because they did mention her in this storyline.
Well, yeah, that was my gripe is they made out at the start of the segment that we were it's very dangerous to tease other matches, which fans probably want more than what you're going to offer them. It's a very risky move to say, oh yeah, Becky's told me that Ronda's picked her.
I do think there might
Charlotte
be a reason.
Says, I'll face Sasha. And yeah, it just seemed odd for them to do that.
I do think they might have done this for a reason. Well, we haven't heard anything from Sasha yet. So Sasha might come out on SmackDown and say, you've said you wanted to face me. How about it? And then maybe she beats Charlotte in a match or something and gets added in. I could see them doing that.
Yeah, maybe.
And to be honest, I would prefer that than a one-on-one, I think.
Yeah, although Ronda's she's not in a one-on-one WrestleMania match, Ronda.
No, that is true. That is true. But then you've got to have Sasha Banks in a big match at Mania, in my opinion.
You do. Maybe you can if you can somehow get Sasha over to face Becky, but then you'll leave it off Belair. I think
exactly.
Sasha, Belair, Becky is a better.
Unless Bayley's coming back and they do Sasha and Bayley. That's the only other thing I can think of. I know we've seen that a million times, but Sasha and Bayley can have a million matches, and
and you've got Asuka coming back potentially. You got Alexa Bliss is definitely coming back. You got all these. There's a lot of top women at the moment.
There is, but the problem is at WrestleMania they don't often do that many women's matches. I'll tell you what you could do, which would be great: Sasha Banks, Lita.
Yeah, well, yeah, Lita's another. Yeah,
you know, we'll get to Lita in a bit, but you could even do that if Lita's sticking around. You could do Sasha Banks, Lita. That would be awesome.
Be great,
yeah,
that would be good.
But yeah, so what were your gripes on this segment?
Just the fact that they mentioned the other potential opponents, which I think fans would prefer. I think if you did a straw poll on those two options we said, Ronda Becky or Ronda Charlotte, I think you'd get a lot more Ronda Becky votes in there. So I think that's just a risky move. I don't think you need, again, unless there's a reason for it.
Ronda Charlotte's one of those matches where no one wants to cheer either person.
Yeah, and
because Ronda's not getting great. She's getting some face cheers, but she's getting a lot of boos as well.
She isn't looking great on the mic at the moment, Ronda.
Well, I noted on this, I've put my notes on this, that I thought her promo on SmackDown was much better than her one on Raw. I thought her one on Raw, she really struggled. I mentioned it last week that I really she didn't seem comfortable. But this one, I did think she was much better.
Yeah, yes.
Still not amazing, but much better. My favourite bits of this promo itself were, she said, see you at WrestleMania, bitch, which was, a good little line. And then Charlotte said, this is my baby and it's prettier than yours, because obviously
that was a brilliant line.
And I thought that was savage, and I liked that. And that led to Ronda sort of taking her jacket off, ready to square up to her. And then I thought the segment was good from then onwards. Sonya Deville kind of blocked her, said it's my show, you kind of. So Sonya Deville's going to have a part in this story as well.
Yeah.
Ronda pushes Charlotte, pushes her, goes for Charlotte, but Sonya Deville kind of jumps on her back. Charlotte walks outside, and then she does the submission to Sonya, basically showing what she was going to do to Charlotte, which I really liked. But my worry is they're going to go down the typical suspended route, because they did this with Becky against Ronda, right?
And they've done this with Brooke and Adam Pearce.
Yeah, but they've done this in Mania builds before. They did it to Becky Lynch during the Charlotte-Ronda feud, where they suspended Becky, then she came back. My worry is, Sonya's going to go, Ronda, you're suspended for putting your hands on me. And then they're going to do all that nonsense. And then maybe that's how Sasha gets in the match. Maybe that's how Sasha gets in the match.
Yeah, could be. And again, we don't know Ronda's schedule before Mania. Maybe she can't appear before Mania that much, so they can suspend her as a reason. But you are right, though. They have trodden this path before. Yeah,
I'm not a fan of those angles, but we'll see where it goes before we say it, because I liked this in isolation, but I want to see where it goes. One thing I would do with this storyline, without question, and I think I'm mad if they don't do it, is bring Shayna Baszler into it, because her relationship
100%,
if Ronda's on SmackDown, which she's going to be, and Shayna's on SmackDown, and you just ignore the relationship between them, that I think they're absolutely bonkers.
Especially as they were quite, clearly playing into it at the Rumble.
At the Rumble, yeah. So I think that's one thing.
100%, yeah. I
turn
Shayna.
Think of that. Yeah. If Ronda's the face in this feud, turn Shayna Baszler face.
Yeah, I think Shayna played a pretty face role in the Rumble. When her and Ronda were together, they looked like a face team.
Yeah, so I think you've got to do that. That's my main thing to say about the main event stuff. I think it's exciting in a way, but
it is, and you've actually just made me more excited by mentioning Shayna. I think you could have in the build-up Ronda and Shayna v Charlotte and Sonya. That could be a tag team match having the build-up, which is cool, because Shayna and Sonya have a bit of history as well, where she was Sonya's lapdog for a little bit. So,
yeah, definitely. And
I didn't think of that. That's a great idea. So one thing I wish no one thought of was bringing back Goldberg. Honestly,
because that's really probably is the main talking point from SmackDown.
Honestly. Again, it's one of those, it was kind of leaked beforehand. I think this wasn't a surprise when he come out.
No, I kind of knew it was happening,
but
to be honest.
I don't know about you, but I just don't want to see Goldberg.
I don't, but I would rather him here against Reigns in a match that he's going to lose.
Do we?
Well, I know Bubba Ray on his radio show suggested Goldberg should win this match, but I think
he's not too many blows to the head. That guy.
Yeah. But realistically, I don't think Goldberg's ending Reigns' title reign in Jeddah, in Saudi Arabia here. So I don't mind it for what it is, because they were going to do this match two years ago at Mania, and then Roman obviously pulled out because of COVID and stuff. So I actually don't care that much, because for me, it's like the main event of Saudi Arabia is the Elimination Chamber men's match, and even the women's match. Yeah, you've got them to look forward to. And then Roman Goldberg's kind of like a side match that could be a bit of fun.
And it will be short as well, at least. We know Goldberg matches aren't long.
Yeah, it'll just basically be spear and spear, spear versus spear. And Roman will come out on top and Goldberg will tap. And that, Goldberg was rumoured to have one match left on his deal now. So if this is his last match and he puts Roman over, I've got no problem with that. I'd rather him do that than come to WrestleMania and beat someone he doesn't need to beat, or win the title.
I just think he doesn't. What I don't like about it is Goldberg, and it happens all the time with Goldberg. My biggest gripe.
Yeah, he just comes and gets a title shot.
Yeah, and you're not just the fact he's part-time, he just comes out and says, you're next. Well, who are you to decide who's...
That's bad booking from WWE's viewpoint. I mean...
So poor when, you're thinking, I don't know, I would rather... I'm trying to think who I'd rather Goldberg face. I don't know, I just don't want him in the title. Like, I know we had that a few years back, we had him with Ziggler, which was quite a cool...
Yeah, that was great.
Little, like, I don't mind that. And even I always mention Goldberg and Brock at Mania was brilliant for what it was. And he can have these...
Even the match with Drew was good.
If he can have a big, hard-hitting match with someone, could be quite cool. I'm trying to
the match I would do, if he has another match after this, the match I would do at WrestleMania is Big E. But you have Big E.
Okay, Big E.
Because Big E has mentioned that he wants to face Goldberg before. He's joked about it in interviews. Yeah. He said big meaty men slapping meat or whatever he said with Goldberg.
Yeah.
Have Goldberg's last match. Big E deserves to be put over after his title run. They screwed him there. Have Big E v Goldberg at Mania and just have Big E beat him. That's what I would do.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Because if he's on SmackDown with Reigns, you can then have him come out after he gets beaten and be like, I'm hanging up my, I'm retiring. And then Big E comes out and goes, let's have one more match, mate. Yeah, and then they that sets them up. I don't think they're going to do that because I think they're just going to do tag team stuff with the New Day. But
I say I can move on to my skid mark.
Yeah,
right for there. It's a perfect scheme. My skid mark is exactly what you've been saying. The treatment of Big E is just it's baffling. I cannot believe what they've done to this guy.
They've Kofi'd him.
Yeah,
they've done exactly what they did to Kofi.
He was. I mean, we did our predictions for the Rumble. I think most people predicted Big E to win the Rumble as one of their two picks.
Yeah.
Most people.
I didn't have him, but I only didn't have him because a lot of people either had him. I thought I'd just go for somebody else. But yeah.
And he was
like a good chance of winning it.
He was world champion against day one. And maybe he would have lost it to Seth if you believe all the dirt sheets, and maybe he would have retained it if you believe some others. But he wasn't meant to lose it to Brock. And the fact he got pinned at day one was unnecessary in a fatal 5-way match. I think you could have had Owens get pinned and fine, but they had him get pinned.
And he didn't get a rematch.
Yeah.
Lashley won the match on Raw to get the rematch.
Yeah. And then he doesn't get the rematch. And then he's then transferred to SmackDown to be in nothing tag teamness with Kofi Kingston. And they are doing nothing and they have nothing set up. And you have this chamber match on Raw coming up in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And why is Big E not in that? Why is he on SmackDown in a tag team with Kofi in the middle of SmackDown doing absolutely nothing, against Los Lotharios and just a nothing match?
It's sad. And they did, the saddest thing is they did exactly the same to Kofi when he lost the title.
They did. And what's the worst thing is I don't think anyone saw it coming. I
think people thought they were doing better. They fought more with Big E.
Yeah, you thought, okay, they did it with Kofi. They won't do it again. And the thing is, they had Kofi separate from the New Day. They pushed him separate,
Yeah.
And now they've just moved him straight back to what he was before. And maybe like less, he's less than he was before, I feel like. It's just a real crying shame. And you can do more with Kofi as well. Like, this isn't just Big E, but it's okay, once he's injured, fine. Then why not have Kofi go after Reigns? Why not have Kofi go for the IC title? Why not have Kofi, like, you're just dragging them all down into a mid-card tag team title feud for the guy who was your WWE champion like a month ago. It's just staggering to me. And the fact that you're right, I would love to see Big E Goldberg at Mania. That's probably the best you could hope for right now. But even that, I think, is a way off. I think Big E, it's probably going to be Big E and Kofi v Usos at New Day at Mania or something.
I hope they do New Day and Usos again. Like, we just do not need that match again.
Well,
it wouldn't surprise me if they do a multi. I think they might do it, but multi-man and
maybe
and throw other teams in. Maybe you get Los Lotharios and Viking Raiders in there as well or something.
Big E Lashley, Big E Roman. These were all, this was the level we were talking about Big E at, and now we're talking now.
And the thing is, Woods was pushed quite a bit before he got injured.
I think we should have had a Woods Roman match.
So all three of them could have been pushed individually, especially the roster's not that deep. You don't have to split them. You can still have them tag team together on SmackDown, but then when they have their big individual feuds on the side of that, and you could have had Big E v Goldberg, and you could have maybe had Woods versus, I don't know, Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
And Kofi versus Roman or something. Like, you could easily have done that, but no, they've just done this.
They just have this like New Day security blanket. They just have to fall back on every single time.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
It's a not New Day being so popular is their own undoing in a way.
Yeah, it really is.
Because
I can't believe they've done it.
They know that whatever position you put them in, the crowd's going to love them. So you can book them like shit and the crowd's going to love them. You can push them like they occasionally do and it's great. And then you can just put them back. And it's Dolph Ziggler syndrome. Dolph Ziggler used to have this.
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler used to just lose and lose and lose and lose and lose. And the crowd would still love him. And eventually the crowd would just like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, that's what it's going to get to. And the thing is, if we get a Xavier Woods title run in the future, which we may well do because he's very good, and I've pushed him singles recently. If that happens, someone in the future, how can we get behind it after we've seen how they've treated the other two members of the New Day? It's just sad. Although the only thing I will say is this match on SmackDown was actually quite good. I was
going to say this.
It's actually a good match.
The best match on the show, because I was going to get to the lack of wrestling on SmackDown. It
was good. Yeah.
New Day vs Lost the Fires, I actually noted, was a really good match.
Yeah.
Well, Lost the Fires looked really good in it. There was a massive moonsault by Humberto to the outside on Big E. They were 2 for 1 for a bit, and they got some good near falls. I actually thought for a minute Lost the Fires might win, and that really would have summed it up for the New Day.
That would have done.
But eventually they do the double move on Angel or Angel, whatever you want to call him,
Angel,
to win. But the match was really good actually. Wasn't really long, but it was good for what we got. But that actually kind of leads to back to my skid mark, really, which is just SmackDown not having any wrestling on it. Somehow managed to have like 5 matches and nothing happened in them. This match aside, which like I said, was good, didn't really need to happen, but was good. You had on this show, the matches, you had Aaliyah versus Natalya, which went a couple of minutes. And then Aaliyah just won by count out. Pretty rubbish, you know. You had... God, what other matches were there? There was Nakamura versus Jinder. That was a nothing match as well. Absolutely nothing. It was more about Sami Zayn on commentary, which is fine.
Yeah.
And honestly, and there was Ricochet. This one annoyed me. It was Ricochet versus Ridge Holland.
So
Ridge Holland just wins, and then they just turned it into a tag match. Did a 5-minute tag match, which was good, and then but it was so baffling. So the matches there were. I mean, that is not a good wrestling show in terms of wrestling.
No, it wasn't. And the thing is, I guess they thinking we've got Ronda and Goldberg on the show, so who cares? That's what they think. And that
is the thing with SmackDown at the moment. And the same with, and Roman, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
It's mainly about Roman and his promos. Sami Zayn always has good promo segments. Like every week he does something of note. Like they're not always good, but they're always on the show. Importance given.
He's always given time, isn't he?
And Charlotte quite often has one. You get Sonya Deville, Naomi stuff, but not much wrestling with it. You get all these storylines, but not a lot of wrestling. And it's a shame because it used to have really good wrestling on it at one point.
It did. The rosters.
I remember when you had Seth v Edge on SmackDown.
Yeah,
as a match, as a match.
I remember we had AJ Daniel Bryan, which was a great match for the IC title back in the day. I'll say back in the day. It wasn't that long ago.
It was a couple of years back, wasn't it?
18 months, year ago.
Yeah. So that was my skid mark, really.
No, that's completely fair enough. I think.
Just the lack of wrestling. I really enjoyed the Sami Zayn sort of jackass stuff, but
it is good, and I think what we're getting is we're going to get Johnny Knoxville be Sami Zayn at Mania, aren't we? That's what we're going to get.
The rumours what was being said is that Johnny Knoxville was a one and done at the Rumble, and I thought that after he got eliminated, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we're getting Knoxville v Sami Zayn, whether it's some kind of tag with someone else. I think
that's probably what we'll get. I think
that's what we're getting
in a one-on-one, but I don't know. Maybe we will,
because
it's weird if Sami wins the IC title. That's what I will say.
I don't think he is now, because they mentioned Knoxville was going to be there at the title match, and I think he's going to cost him the title, and then that's what's going to happen. And the fact Shinsuke wrestled this week makes me think Shinsuke's back and fit. And I said before, I have no problem Shinsuke being champ as long as he wrestles. The problem I've had with him as champ is he hasn't wrestled for a year. He hasn't wrestled for the belt for like a year. So if he's back wrestling, I've no problem with Shinsuke being champ. He's a bloody good wrestler. I've no problem.
Oh, absolutely. So one more thing from SmackDown worth noting was Drew McIntyre obviously is back on SmackDown after being away for a while.
Yep.
He comes out, cuts a good promo. What I did like about this promo is he talked about him and Brock being 1-for-1 now. Because Brock eliminated him last man from the Rumble, and obviously he beat Brock. So he was like, I'll come back to that at some point. So
that is cool.
I'm glad he mentioned that. Makes him still seem like a big deal and like he's in the main event. Whether he did that on his own back or not, or WWE told him to do that. Which
he might have done. He seems like the kind of person who would.
If they told him to do that, then it shows that he's still a main eventer for me. But he does feel a bit mid-card at the moment. Because he comes out and a feud, anyone who feuds with Corbin and Moss feels mid-card. He comes out, Moss comes out, he asked him to tell him a funny joke.
Behind, didn't he?
Yeah, Moss snuck up. Oh yeah, because he pointed his sword.
And he had a sword, just a sword.
And he goes, right, tell me a funny joke. And actually, it was one of Moss's better ones. I thought it was actually quite good. And then he just got Claymored. But it looks like, aren't we getting the match again?
Yeah, Elimination Chamber. It is.
I don't need to see this again.
It's not McIntyre v Corbin, it's McIntyre v Moss.
Which makes me think they're saving McIntyre v Corbin for Mania, which is such a waste of time.
God, poor McIntyre, yeah. Got to talk about Big E getting pushed down the card. Drew McIntyre as well.
They just don't know what to do with him.
At least he's been injured. At least there's a reason he's not. If he was not injured, I'm sure he would have been in a title match by now, Drew. But
yeah, maybe he would have got the one here.
They definitely think high with Drew didn't do Big E, put it that way.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. He won't lose his spot for good, but I feel like he's just, they don't need to do this feud until Mania. I'd rather him do this feud and then do maybe I
assumed you just do Drew Corbin at Chamber and then
if they're going to do Sami Zayn or something in a tag match with Johnny Knoxville, Drew wouldn't be a bad person to put in that. Like Drew and Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn or somebody or something. Like, even that would be better than putting him against Corbin for me.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Or putting him in or if he wins the IC title, they could do like an IC title match, like Nakamura, Zayn, Sheamus, and Drew or something. That would be great. But I don't know. Let's see what happens. But I'm not getting my hopes up too much on that.
No, let's see. All right, let's move on to Raw.
Yeah, let's move on to Raw.
And again, I think we've got to start with the women's title. In my opinion, I think this is the biggest thing on the show.
Yep. So there's the
Lita and Becky. Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Start of that. The Chamber match
was announced. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have the participants?
So yeah, it's Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, Doudrop, Nikki ASH, and Rhea Ripley, plus a sixth person that hasn't been announced yet.
Yeah, that's interesting. A sixth person. I wonder.
I think it's going to be either be Bayley or Asuka because they didn't come back on the show. I think it's going to be Bayley or Asuka.
Could it be Alexa?
It could be Alexa.
It's not going to be like Zelina or Carmella, is it?
I hope not. After they didn't announce them,
that would be stupid to hold them back.
I think it's a return in person.
It's a great lineup, isn't it, for a Chamber? I mean, Rhea, Doudrop, Belair, Liv, Nikki ASH. It's a bloody good.
It is a good lineup.
Really good lineup.
The only thing I will say is most of them have already faced Becky before, so there's not too much intrigue there. Apart from, even Nikki has actually, I think. But like all of them seem to have faced Becky before.
Do you know what? I actually think there's a bit of intrigue in. Okay, not in Doudrop or Nikki. I don't think there's much intrigue either of those. So I think Belair Becky is, I think, what we want to see. I think
that's what I'm expecting.
I think people got so behind Liv during that Becky feud. I think there are still people that want to see Liv beat Becky.
Yeah.
I think Rhea Becky feels a bit fresh if they're going to push Rhea to the moon.
Yeah.
I think so. I think there is a bit of intrigue in
and obviously if Bayley comes back, Bayley Becky's the one horsewoman feud that hasn't been done to death. I don't think I'm sure I saw a stat about it a while back, and I might have mentioned it. Don't think they've ever faced one-on-one on the main roster, which is crazy.
That is mad. Well, if that's the case, they should do that. Although
that does maybe not yet.
Does mean leaving Belair out
unless you leave Bayley until after Mania and then do Becky Bayley after Mania. Doesn't even have to be for the title. You could do that. You could do that down the line. I would do Bianca Becky because the story's been there since SummerSlam when she beat her in those 3 seconds or whatever. Yeah, the story's been there since then, and she cost her the number one in the match.
It's continued. It's not like it's just been there.
The story's there with Bianca. So if they don't pay it off, it's almost stupid if they don't. So, but that is going to be interesting. And obviously, they did some matches on this show to build that with. Bianca beating Nikki, just sort of beating her quite comfortably, which is a shame. you don't want your competitors in that match to get beaten that easily.
Well,
but
Nikki's just the smarmy heel that we know is not going to win.
Yeah,
she's playing like the Miz role almost in these matches. You see the Miz in these matches a lot.
Yeah, and I thought Liv and Doudrop had a pretty good match actually later on in the night.
What's interesting actually is that I weirdly watched main event last week, and this match was on main event as well. Liv and Doudrop, and
I knew it was on there, and
Doudrop won on main event. No, sorry, Liv won on main event, and then Doudrop won on Raw.
Okay.
So they weirdly had a 50-50 because I thought maybe Liv will win, and they're building up Liv, but no, they've won each in the past week.
Yeah. So anyway, you can get to the main women's thing.
The main event. The main feud is Lita and Becky. We had a promo from both of them here, and I thought Lita looks great. I just think she doesn't feel like a legend coming back. She feels like a top women's star going for the title to me. This doesn't feel like in the past we've seen like Trish Stratus come back for a match, and it feels like a legend coming back. But this, I don't know why. This just feels right. I don't know if it's just me loving Lita or what it is, but I just thought she looked great and hit a good moonsault and a
the Lita Salt and the twist of fate. I love seeing that. Yeah,
and the crowd are right behind her, aren't they?
Yeah, and I really love the way Becky sold like her coming out and returning as well. Basically saying that she was one of her idols growing up, and she's genuinely hurt by the fact that she would come back at WrestleMania season and try and take this away title from her. I thought that was a really good angle.
Becky was really good here. Yeah,
I thought that really kind of played into it. Because I believe that's true. I believe that that's true as well. That Becky is a massive fan of Lita, so it really does add to the story. And I thought Lita, like you say, looks good. I think she looks decent enough in the ring from what we've, whether she can have a 15-minute singles match, we haven't seen that. But the moves she's done have looked right. So
I want her to stick around.
I do too. Like I say,
I want her and
Lita v Sasha
to stick around.
Lita v Sasha at Mania or something would be great. If you're not doing anything else with Sasha, do that.
Yeah, that would be very cool actually, Lita Sasha. But yeah, I just thought this was cool. And again, it's small things, but the fact we've got 2 women's matches in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, when a couple of years back to even get them on the show was a big deal. And now we've got a chamber and we've got Lita Becky is massive. 8 women competing, which is a for all of their criticism of going to Saudi Arabia, and we won't get into the whole politics of that, but they have. This is a good news story, real good news that they've, managed to get women on the show, and not just token anymore. They're getting proper matches, and because I think a couple of years ago, was it last year, we had Doudrop v Natalia, which just felt like almost like a token match just to get a woman on the show. Whereas here, this is now big built matches. We've got title
matches and stuff.
WrestleMania implications in the chamber. It's massive. It's really cool. I think
it's really good. Yeah. So, should we move on to the start of Raw? We got our the quiz bowl, which we were looking forward to.
Yeah, this was quite a cool quiz bowl.
I thought this was really funny and good. I've
enjoyed all of these Alpha Academy and RK Bro segments.
I said it last week. Chad Gable is absolute gold. He's
Thank
absolute
you.
gold.
It's brilliant, isn't he? Love it.
He's telling everyone to shoosh. And
he is absolutely on fire. Brilliant. Chad Gable.
He's been brilliant in this. And he was great again here, I thought. Honestly, he's so good. He was making me laugh a lot during this.
Yeah.
Gable was the one again who lost it for them. And it had to be the maths at the end. They did the maths question. It had to be about ounces for Riddle. Obviously, we won't get into why he knows about ounces and but I knew it was going to be something like that.
Yeah, it was funny.
And then, it was obviously they get the win. I mean, it did go a little bit long.
We're leading up to another match. I don't know. Is it announced for any? I don't think it's announced for Chamber, is it? RK Bro Alpha Academy, but that's happening again for the title. I don't quite know when.
I don't know when. I don't think it's been announced. Maybe it will be then, but I don't know I don't think they announced it. And then
no, they didn't.
So I thought that was all really, really good, really funny segment. It's been very entertaining, this feud. And then you got Street Profits versus Alpha Academy in a match afterwards, which was pretty decent. Not too much to say, but what I did like here is I was kind of expecting them to, for some reason, WWE booking, I was expecting them to have Street Profits win.
Yeah.
And then you still pin your champions by a team that's not even going for the titles to make them look even weaker. But no, they didn't. They had Chad Gable pick up the victory, which I saw a stat the other day. It's something like his first pinfall or submission win on Raw in like 2 years that he's got this pin or submission. Mad. So I think Otis is, whenever they've won the matches, I think Otis has got the
probably, yeah.
So yeah, like they're obviously, maybe they're starting to see something in him finally.
Well, the fact that he's getting a lot of time, isn't he, on these shows, and all of these, again, we criticized WWE so much for their tag team booking, and we were on them, so we have to give them praise when they do it right. And RK Bro and Alpha Academy are just spot on at the moment. They're both, and this led to a tag team, and then later on we got some more RK Bro as well. Yeah, these teams are getting multiple segments on shows. They're a big part of Raw at the moment. Both of these teams.
They're both these teams are. I mean, Riddle and Orton, you knew would be, but I'm glad the Alpha Academy are getting this level of attention. Like, it's brilliant to see. They're having matches every week. They're having promo segments every week. They're having interviews backstage. They're doing everything. Yeah, it's great. And
so I'll kind of move on to the main event quickly. And
it segues on from that.
Yeah, you did mention about on SmackDown we had a match which was a singles led to a tag. We had the exact same thing here. We had this one's probably more annoying because they didn't. This was a match I was really looking forward to, Riddle and Rollins. And it didn't really.
The only thing I will say is the first one made no sense on SmackDown because they did a pinfall. They did a pinfall win, and then they did another pinfall win. That was whereas this actually got broken up. Yeah, and the 4 guys involved, I want to see all 4 of them. Like,
I have no problem with the match. So, match was really cool,
but it is a bit annoying.
I was sat there watching it and I looked at the time left and I was like, oh, we've got a nice little Riddle Rollins match here. This is going to last 20 minutes, this match. And it's me being naive, I guess. I should have realized that was going to happen.
I didn't think of it.
But I thought, oh, wow, are we going to get I thought maybe we get like a 15-minute match with like a bit of an angle afterwards. But no, it was a DQ and then a tag match, which is fine.
And they were having a good little match before that, Rollins and Riddle. They were having a really good powerbomb into the barricade. I was thinking it was just getting up a gear, and that's when KO ran in. And then Orton obviously comes down and saves Riddle to a massive pop, by the way. Orton's I noted it down. I think Orton might be the most over babyface in wrestling right now.
Yeah, he's right up there.
It's mental. It's mental to think in 2022.
I think it's him or John Moxley.
Yeah.
They're probably the two, aren't they? Moxley's.
Yeah. WWE wise, I think he's the most over babyface in wrestling right now.
Yeah.
There might be some more in AEW that are more over, but yeah, it's mental to think. But yeah, it was really, it was a really good main event. To be fair, I thought it was really good. And I was actually expecting because KO won earlier in the night, and he did double duty. He beat Austin Theory earlier in the night, and I thought, oh, he'll take the pin in the main event. Then that's why they've done this so that he'll get pinned in the main event, 50-50, typical WWE booking. But no, Riddle and Rollins won with Rollins winning with a stomp.
Yeah, so
KO got 2 wins in one night.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, interesting, and they're definitely building this story with Owens again mentioned about Seth trying to get him in the match, and he went to Sonya after, I'll beat Austin Theory, I'll get in the match.
Very interesting where that went because she said you might not even be on the WrestleMania card.
Yeah, what I think is happening, and I think to me the most obvious outcome here is Owens is getting annoyed that Rollins isn't getting him into the match, so he's going to stop Rollins winning the chamber somehow. I don't know how you get into a chamber, and he cost Rollins, and then we lead to Owens Rollins at Mania.
They could do that. Personally, I don't know if I want to see Owens Rollins again at Mania.
We have seen it before. It will be 2
years ago. It'll be an amazing match. But I think they can get more out of this partnership yet. I think it's just started.
Well, I really think that main event could have been the tag team title match at Mania.
Do you know what it didn't even need to be the tag title match. I was thinking, why didn't they just save this for Mania? They could have easily done that at Mania. It would have been a massive marquee, cool tag match. Doesn't even need to be the title match. You could have done the title match as Alpha Academy versus Mysterios or Street Profits or a triple threat or any combination of that. or something like that. And you could throw Ziggler and Roode in there. You can throw any of them tag teams into the tag title match, lower down on the card, and you could have had this as a separate tag match. Didn't even need the titles on it. Would have been such a good match. But yeah, they've done it here, so I don't think it's happening. But
no, you're probably right.
Because they're not going to. Well, they might, but I don't think they're doing a random. I mean, they did Apollo Crews Big E at WrestleMania last year after doing 10 matches on SmackDown or something like that. So you never know. But yeah, I don't think that's where the story's going. But yeah, it was a cool Raw main event. And like I say, Owens earlier in the night beat Austin Theory, which is weird. The 50-50 booking there, really. Owens, I'm glad he didn't lose twice in a row, though. So I'm actually kind of glad they did 50-50 booking, because him losing to Theory twice would have been a bit odd.
Yeah, that's yeah.
But I'm just intrigued where the storyline's going, because they said, Sonya was basically saying you're not even going to be on the card, and I loved KO's but Texas is my place. Like, I love cowboy hats, and he was going on about
him saying he's really popular in Texas makes you think we're going to get Stone Cold in Owens, because there's the stunner.
That's exactly what I've written down. Maybe that's Austin, because Austin apparently is going to have a big segment of Mania, which makes complete sense. If you're having him there, you've got to do something big with Austin. It's in Texas. Maybe, I don't think we'll get a match, but maybe that's what we get. Owens isn't on the card in a match, but he comes out, confronts Stone Cold, and we got Austin and KO, which is fine. I mean, I'd rather see KO in a great match, because KO is amazing in the ring, but I wouldn't be annoyed at Owens and Stone Cold having some sort of interaction, because, why not?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think there's a bit of a link there if we move on to AJ Styles and Damien Priest, who had their match here at Champions Contender match, which AJ won. And now we get that match next week for the belts.
Yeah.
And my link really was, I'm sure Kevin Owens beat Priest in a Contenders match a few weeks back, and he never got his title match. I'm sure Owens beat Priest before the Rumble.
I think he did, but didn't he then the match, I believe the title match ended in DQ.
Oh, did they have a title match? Did they?
They did, but only ended in DQ, which again suggests they should continue. I'm sure they had the match, but Priest got DQ'd for going too mental, and then they just ignored it after that, which is a shame. But yeah, so Priest has lost. I mean, like you say, lost to Owens there, and he's lost to AJ here. So we used to praise how strong he was booked as a champion, but now he's losing a lot. Since he's had this new character, he's losing a lot, and I'm not sure it's doing him any favors. I mean, he has lost to Kevin Owens and AJ Styles. It's not lower card guys. It's it's top guys. But yeah, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what they're going to do with Damien Priest at the moment.
Yeah, he was on that trajectory, and they've kind of halted him, and it's because they gave him a character
that they didn't
need to. Yeah, he was absolutely over us, and being booked great as he was, it seems a bit unnecessary. But
it was a really good match though, between Priest and AJ. I thought there was some really good wrestling counters. There was a cool spot where AJ did the Pele kick, and Priest fell on to AJ and nearly beat him.
Yeah, nearly got a pin. Yeah.
And AJ ended up winning with a phenomenal forearm and pinning him clean, like I said. But yeah, it's just a bit worrying for Damien Priest, that I think.
Yeah.
But AJ, if he does win the United States title, I wouldn't mind that.
No, not at all.
For AJ.
Quite happy with that. What else do we get? We had Mysterios appearing on Miz TV.
Yep.
Which I'll be leading to Ray v Miz. Is that what this is leading?
I think so, yeah. I don't know if they're going to drag this out to Mania, and that's going to be the Mania match.
Because Miz just is beating Dominic Mysterio. That's kind of he beat him last week.
Yeah, but he gets the revenge hit, and he didn't.
Yeah. Dominic got the win.
Dom won, but only by roll up. It was a bit silly, a bit nonsense. This really, but what I did like is Ray. Maurice was trying to she actually did trip.
Yeah.
Dom up, but then Ray tripped Miz up to get the revenge from last week, and then Dom just kind of rolled him up.
Do you know the Mysterios they've had a history of cheating in matches. They've always done it. I remember when they were babyfaces, and they were. I think, but
they normally do it as a revenge thing. They don't start.
Corbin or someone they were against, and they were cheating against Corbin twin, weren't they? And it was like, well, Corbin's to heel. Like,
yeah,
Corbin's got a legitimate case to be annoyed. They've always done it weirdly.
I think they do it as a revenge thing normally. Like they've had it done to them, so they do it back, which I don't mind that. But yeah, that was okay. One thing I thought was cool on Raw was the promo with MVP and Lashley. Lashley was in his hometown here, and he was given a babyface reaction like he doesn't normally get, like at all. And what I really liked about MVP here is he did a Paul Heyman style promo.
Yeah, it was very
doing, like, reigning, undefeated, undisputed. He was basically doing Heyman's talk for Lashley, which I thought was really, really good. And he actually really put over the competitors in the Elimination Chamber match in his promo as well.
He did, yeah.
Before it cut to then Lashley himself started talking, and then it was more a direct focus on Brock, talking about Brock and the history. And I just thought it was a solid promo. Nothing out of the ordinary, but it was pretty solid.
Yeah, no, definitely. This was something. I feel like I almost forgot Lashley was on the show. It was very quick, like brief, and let's say nothing really come of his promo. It's just a promo and move on, which is fine. Sometimes he doesn't need any personal feud. Well, I guess Brock is the feud, but that's kind of, he doesn't need, with a Chamber coming up. We'll see what happens in the Chamber, and that probably lead to his Mania match. Yeah, and we'll talk about the Chamber more in the coming weeks, but I've got no idea what's going to happen in the Chamber. Absolutely no idea.
It's hard. It's hard to predict in a way, but we said that about the Rumble, and then Brock just won. So,
well, yeah, maybe Brock will just win.
You know what I mean? Maybe it'll just be Brock winning again. I hope not, but
could be.
It wouldn't surprise me if it is at the same time, because
Brock winning can never be a surprise, even if he's not in the match.
Exactly. Yeah, he doesn't even need to be. He's been in Money in the Bank matches before that he's not been in and won it. He's been in Royal Rumbles that he's not supposed to be in and won it. So never rule out Brock winning if he is in the match. So
exactly.
But yeah, let's move on to, well, is there anything else more you want to talk about? Or?
I was just going to mention Alexa Bliss with her latest development where she was talking about controlling her anger. And obviously keeps bringing up Lily, but she's looking week on week. She looks less and less like her old character.
Yeah.
Although Lily
is
still a big part of what she's talking about. It's all focused around Lily still. So I'm interested what they do with that. I'm interested to see how they either incorporate Lily or make her separate from Lily. But at the moment, she's still very much to do with Lily. And I'm interested to see what Alexa Bliss does. But she's doing a great job of what she's given at the moment. I think I really like it.
I'm ready for it to come to sort of conclusion within the next week or two now. Though.
It will. I think we're nearly there. We are nearly there now.
I'm hoping so. I want her to come back soon, because otherwise she's going to end up taking longer to come back than a certain Veer Mahan.
Veer Mahan, another promo for Veer.
Veer is coming. I wrote it in my notes. All I wrote was Veer is coming.
You can just copy paste it every week.
Weirdly, he's saying different things each week now.
He is. I will say that my problem when I skinned it was just the same way every week. Nothing changed. At least it
sounded like he's close to actually arriving now.
Well, he was on Main Event the other week as well.
Yeah, maybe.
I have seen him wrestle.
I don't know what the plan is for it. I have no idea what they're going to do.
There is no idea. Absolutely zero idea. I'd be surprised if he's on a Mania card. Honestly, I don't think he will be.
Oh, he'll be in the Battle Royal, won't he?
We'll see. Yeah,
that's where he'll be in. He'll be in the Battle Royal, which is fine. At least he's there. If he's not even on that, then I'll be worried about him.
That's true. Well, I can segue onto NXT.
Yep, let's go.
And we can segue onto his former tag team partner Sanga having his first.
That is a great segue.
As he was up against LA Knight, and LA Knight beat him, which is really cool. And this kind of just...
I expected that purely because you knew you were going to get Waller and Knight again.
Yeah, that is coming up. I don't know when that's happening. I don't think that's
I don't know if that's next week or not.
I don't think it is. I've got next week's Vengeance Day card. I don't think he's on it.
All right.
That match. I'm sure they'll have a segment on the show, but it's not a match for next week.
Okay.
But yeah, just nice to see. Again, I don't have much on this match. It was just an easy segue. Onto NXT, but yeah, LA Knight getting the win.
Yeah, the finish to it was quite cool. Waller tried to expose the turnbuckle, backfired. Sanga went into it, and then just a net breaker and pinned him. I wondered how they were going to get around it.
He was looking a bit Braun Strowman AOP, wasn't he? Here, Sanga.
Yeah, I thought they were just going to do a boring roll up, so at least there was something a little bit. creative. It was better than it could have been.
Cool.
It was all right.
I mean, do you want to talk about the main thing on the show?
The main thing for me, on the show was, I mean, there was a women's title main event.
Yeah,
that might be the main thing. But the big thing, the newsworthy thing, I think, is Dolph Ziggler turning up on NXT. And this excited me because if you listen to this show, you know I'm a Ziggler fanboy. Or was in 2014 when he, was getting pushed.
When he was relevant, yeah.
I mean, he's still great. He's still great.
He is. And what I will say here, before you kind of wax lyrical about him, I thought he looked $1 million here. He looked like a real big deal.
Do you know what? I just love a crowd actually reacting to him, because he walks out now and this is what I mean. He's been booked into the ground. He's been long. He's been in WWE so long, like 15 years as well. It gets to a point where people still react a little bit to it, but really most of the time it's just, oh, here's Dolph Ziggler. Okay. Whereas on here, he felt like a megastar coming out.
He did.
They were chanting "Steal the Show" at him. They were chanting Ziggler. They were chanting, all sorts to him, and it was so refreshing to hear. Because when AJ Styles come out on NXT, he got a massive reaction, but he gets a big reaction on Raw as well. So it's kind of feel standard. But I loved the fact the crowd was so into him, and I could tell Dolph loved it as well.
Oh, he was having fun of his life, wasn't he?
He was loving the reaction, and he was just sat at the back in his chair with his suit on. I was like, "Where's this Dolph Ziggler been?
Yeah,
why isn't he like this every week?"
I would rather move into NXT full time and have this guy in my TV all the time, because he's not going to be this guy on main roster, is he, Dolph? Unfortunately, because he's just not booked that way.
No.
So get him on NXT full time, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And
so I think so. Well, I mean, we ended up with Ciampa coming out as well, and we'll get into that in a minute. But the only problem I have with this segment, and I loved it overall, I just think Escobar got really...
he felt in the background.
He did not feel like he felt like a real...
They saved it a little bit at the end.
Yeah, he did. At the end, he did.
At the end, LDF, the Guardian of Fantasma came out on top by putting Breaker through a table. So I will say that. But when they were talking, honestly,
Escobar
all of
still
Legado,
here?
Escobar, and it particularly Elektra Lopez and the Legado guys were just stood in the corner because Ziggler. So because the segment starts off between Escobar and Breaker, and they're on a nice little face off. It's fine. Then Ziggler comes out, and the segment goes up a level. Like, okay, here we go. This is serious. And Ziggler's just talking to Breaker, and Escobar's just completely ignored. And then obviously Ciampa come out, and Ciampa and Ziggler really went at it. Ciampa got right in Ziggler's face. Ziggler kind of said to him, like, why are you still in NXT? Like, what are you wasting your time? You've been here like ages, basically, which I thought was really good. Ciampa called Dolph's kid, which was a bit odd.
Yeah, he's actually older, isn't he?
Yeah.
What I did like is Ziggler being like, it's the same 200 people cheering you every week. Like, I don't know why you think you're such a big deal and stuff like that. Like, it's really clever.
So, I mean, he's kind of saying, like, why are you still in NXT? Like, you've been here ages and you've got a fan base, but it's the same, like, Dolph obviously listed all his accolades as well. But what it made me want to see, it didn't really make me want to see Dolph Breaker so much. It made me really want to see Dolph v Ciampa. And I said, obviously you just said that you could put him down to NXT. I would love this to be a way, if Ciampa's getting called up, do Ciampa v Ziggler at Mania, or even a tag match, Dirty Dogs versus Breaker and Ciampa at Mania. You got the end, and then you can have the NXT champion on the card, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So
that's potential.
I think you could do either of those things, and it would be awesome. I love this segment. I love seeing Ziggler in a prominent role, because he just comes out and has tag matches on Raw, and that's fine. And he has great matches all the time. He's great. I mean, his matches with Priest and stuff were really, really good recently. But it was just a nice surprise to see him, honestly.
It was really cool. So we kind of mentioned it already briefly, but we had the women's main event, Kaylee Ray and Mandy Rose.
Mm-hmm.
And Mandy retained. I don't know if I was expecting this. I kind of thought we might get a Kaylee Ray
because they didn't do it on the main. There's the big show next week.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
So I thought, well, there's no way Kaylee Ray's winning then.
Toxic Attraction.
It's the predictable finish, but but it's fine. The match itself was all right. Rose did a really nice sunset flip bomb thing at one point, which was really cool.
I think she's improved a lot, Mandy Rose.
Yeah, she's still not like old NXT Women's Champion style level, but no. she's good enough. She doesn't for NXT 2.0 and what they're presenting. She's like a perfect champion, really.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, and I think this kind of all led up to finding Io Shirai's tag team partner. I think was kind of that was throughout the show. Zoe Stark saying you need to find someone, and Io said, "I know the perfect person."
Yeah, and I was racking my brain thinking, well, who?
Yeah, I was thinking, I was like, who? I thought it might be like Dakota.
To be honest, I thought they might bring in someone new that we didn't know.
Yeah, but it turns out to
or
be
even
Kaylee
like
Ray.
we'd randomly see like Asuka come down to NXT or something like mental.
Yeah,
because they're bringing loads of main roster stars down. So I thought you could even see something crazy like that. But no, it ended up being obviously she came out at the end and helped KLR from not getting beaten up.
Yeah, and I think we're kind of getting quite
crazy
a nice
tag team.
we're getting quite a nice field now for the Dusty Cup with Cora and Raquel, with Io and KLR here.
Yeah, well, I thought
Obviously,
last week I said it's really obvious that Cora and Raquel were going to win. But now they're in. Now KLR and Io are in it. That throws a little bit of doubt, I think, into it, which is good.
Yeah, it does, definitely. But yeah, that was cool. And I think whilst we're on the women, we had Saray beat Dakota Kai on this show, which
my
was
notes
a bit of a surprise for me.
Kai. I wasn't surprised purely because they're pushing Saray. So now Saray's come back, they seem to be pushing her quite hard. And I do think her wrestling style has changed a little bit, and she looks really good.
Yeah, she does look cool when she's in the ring. When she's out of the ring, backstage, I'm not a big fan.
I'm not keen in that gimmick. I mean, in the ring, yeah.
Yeah. In the ring, she's really cool.
And I thought she was great in this match, but Dakota Kai needs to move up to the main roster.
God, why is she on NXT still? I still don't know why Shirai's on NXT. I don't really think she needs to be on NXT anymore. But
interestingly, I think they both had a dark match against each other. Was it last week? I know Io definitely had. It was Io. It might have been Io versus someone else.
I know they've both been on the dark circuit, haven't they? They've both been.
Yeah, Io had a match last week and won on the SmackDown show. I think it might have been against Dakota Kai. It was someone like that from NXT where they've been on there for ages. So there's a lot of NXT people that are doing that at the moment. LA Knight, Tommaso Ciampa, Pete Dunne, Roderick Strong. All these people could easily move up.
Yeah, it's all the NXT 1.0s, isn't it?
Rather than them just being wasted or getting released, the main roster could do with some of these people, especially.
They could. I honestly think you could move all of those names up you've just mentioned, and NXT 2.0 would still be okay because there is
the only one I'd maybe keep is Strong, purely because Diamond Mine is a good faction that's getting pushed, and the other guys are new.
Probably
so he might keeping Strong with them might help them. The other guys, though, for me, have got nothing left to do in NXT at all.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
Maybe LA Knight you could make an argument still has, but the others
maybe. But they're all in
Ciampa, Dunne, Shirai.
The problem is that they're all in old feuds that are not really like, we're seeing LA Knight with Grayson Waller. Kind of that's almost done. Like Ciampa with Breaker are kind of ready for that to move on. So like Pete Dunne with D'Angelo again. That's kind of done. I think
this is it. I think D'Angelo will win and Dunne will then leave NXT. It's got to be the way forward.
Yeah, maybe. Well, on the show we had Dunne beat Draco Anthony in an interesting match again. Announcing a match with Draco before. He looked quite good here.
Yeah, he's all right, isn't he? Yeah.
Nothing.
He got more of a surprisingly competitive match actually.
Yeah, that's what surprised. I thought it'd be a squash for Dunne, but
obviously Dunne wins with a bit of end in the end. I mean, Tony tried to hit him with a crowbar, but it backfired.
Yeah,
and they're having a weaponized cage match.
Yeah, that will be quite a cool one. And I quite like they're bringing it back to War Games, where it's like, well, this started in a cage, this ends in a cage. I do quite like that. I mean, this also could have ended after the last match they had, and I think we all thought it was going to end. And then Dunne came back.
Yeah, because they did this little funeral thing.
Yeah, and then he came back the week after that. So.
Yeah, that was a bit odd.
But if we're coming back to it, fair enough. We'll end it in a cage, and I think D'Angelo should win and Dunne should move up. But I said that last time, so
let's
who knows?
Briefly talk about the Dusty Cup, because there's some really we've got the final Dusty. Now.
Yeah, and probably the final we expected.
And I actually think the matches have been pretty good in this tournament overall.
They have been. I said for
the first match was awesome.
GYV.
GYV, the Creed brothers, hard hitting, awesome stuff.
We know how good GYV
The crowd was going mental for this.
Yeah, really behind it. I'm such a big fan of the Creed brothers.
I think they're great. Yeah.
I'm actually a big fan of quite a lot of the tag teams. You know, we're talking about Imperium, but Creed brothers, MSK, who are obviously in the final, and then the 2 semi-finalists as well. I think.
And that's not even mentioning people like Legado. Yeah, fantastic.
Idris and Manic Blade have impressed me a lot.
They've been good
in this run, and GYV are brilliant. So many good tag teams at NXT right now.
Yeah.
And again, we're talking about people that could move up. I mean, MSK could be on the main roster easily. They're clearly they're another team that's had a little
when Riddle and Orton are finished,
with a main roster star. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, MSK won later on against Idris.
Yeah, both matches were really good. I really enjoyed both of them, actually. I thought the first match was amazing, though.
It was.
GYB match was excellent.
I just hope we get the same, and I think we will. I just hope we get the same level of like longevity of matches and time given to the Women's Dusty Cup as well. And
hopefully we do.
I fully think we will. It's just I remember back to the King of the Ring Queen's Crown, where King of the Ring got big matches and Queen's Crown got like squash matches. So I just hope they even out. But I think they will, because like I say, the women's tournament now is really strong, and I think it starts in 2 weeks. The Women's Dusty Cups. I mean, interested to see the brackets and to see, you know, what matchups we get.
Well, I think we know the teams in it now, at least, but we just don't know who's going to face who. I think.
Well, I guess there'll be 8 teams, would there?
I think there might only be 4, you know. Well,
you've got Casey and Caden, Elisa and Valentina.
Oh yeah, I forgot about them.
KLR and
there's not 8.
In India and Persia, KLR and
India and Persia are going to be in it though, because they're getting a tag match next week for the title.
Oh yeah, maybe they won't. Yeah, they should be.
I think it might just be the other 4. I think it might be.
Yeah, well, maybe if it is. I mean, I thought they were going to do something with Tiffany and someone. Yeah, Wendy Chu. That might be a team or something.
I don't know. Speaking of that, actually.
Yeah, that was a match that happened.
So Wendy Chu had a one-on-one debut last week, and I was praising her. I really liked her style.
Yeah, it is.
This week though, it fell a bit flat, and
I wasn't a fan of this match.
It was a bit rubbish.
I don't like Tiffany Stratton. I don't like. Well, actually, I do like Wendy Chu, but I didn't like this match.
No, it didn't really offer anything. What I thought was interesting later on was the tease with sort of Dakota and Wendy Chu. That would be some weird.
Well, I think there's a lot of stuff going. I think there might be more teams that just like.
Maybe there will be.
I feel like we might get like a Dakota, Wendy Chu, and then like Tiffany and Amari Miller. Like these random teams would just combine. I think.
Yeah, they'll just throw people together for the sake of it.
End up getting these random. Yeah, you know, we're going to get Lash Legend or someone going to pop up.
Where the hell has she been? I forgot about her.
I know. Well, she's been.
Not that I missed that show because I felt that was a crap gimmick, but I forgot all about her then.
It was an absolute horror show from start to finish. Lash Legend. I know she's been wrestling on 205.
Well,
she's not the match on NXT yet. I don't think.
I don't remember having one though.
No, that's actually all my notes from NXT.
Yeah, I don't have anything else from NXT. I think we've covered pretty much everything actually.
No, cool. Well, let's have a little look ahead then to the week coming up, and I'll just do a quick run through of the matches announced. And then we'll talk about what we're excited about. So for SmackDown. Tomorrow night we have Naomi and Charlotte for the title.
Yeah,
I don't think it's anything else.
Sonya's getting involved. Charlotte's not losing the title. That's pretty obvious because you're getting Charlotte Ronda. So
exactly,
it might be a decent in-ring match. The last one was, but not particularly excited.
I'd rather a clean match with no Sonya, but I don't think that's what we're going to get. For Rampage tomorrow night, we've got Trent and Rocky against the Young Bucks, Rocky Romero and Trent. I can't remember their team name, but
yeah, that'll be okay.
That again, that's a team I don't know anything about.
Jay White on the side is the exciting thing about that.
Yeah,
the
that's
match
interesting.
Itself, we've seen loads of Elite v Best Friends stuff, so I'm not that excited about that. But Jay White is interesting. Yeah,
we've got Hook against one of QT Marshall's trainees. We've got Britt Baker in a squash match against I can't remember who, Robin Renegade, I think it was. And we've also got the tag team title match, Gun Club v Jurassic Express, which has had a bit of build. So that will probably be the main event, I'm sure. That could be quite a cool match, actually, Gun Club, Jurassic Express.
That'll be good, I'm sure.
Yeah, quite cool. It's always nice to see Hook and Britt Baker as well.
Hook. You know, next week we'll be talking about Hook for like half an hour. Yeah, so that's great. And there's hopefully a 3-man pod so we can
just have a Hook special.
Hook can be the main event.
Yeah,
that's the Hook.
That is the Hook. Raw, like announced for Raw. We mentioned before AJ and Priest for the US titles announced.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be good. I don't know what's going to happen there. Probably the same thing that happened to KO, just the DQ finish.
Hopefully nothing. Not. I wouldn't mind AJ winning the belt if they're gonna. I'd get behind AJ fully. I would. We've also got the RK Broger party, which is just another RK Bro Alpha Academy segment, I'm sure. And Brock Lesnar is on Sprawl as well.
Good. Well,
he's just addressing the universe. Maybe we'll get a Brock Lashley face to face again.
Yeah, maybe the other guys from the Chamber will be involved in that as well. Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. We've got Vengeance Day, obviously, for NXT.
Looking forward to that because obviously that'll be a big show.
Yeah, Breaker Escobar for the belts. You've got MSK and Creed Brothers, Persia and Indy v Toxic Attraction, Carmelo v Grimes, and Dunn v D'Angelo. It's
a decent card, that really.
That's a really good card.
It's a really good card.
I think we'll see some more LA Knight, Grayson Waller promos as well. So I think that is probably the whole show there. So
yeah,
it's a pretty strong show there. Pretty strong show. Yeah, maybe that's why they had the women's match this week, because there's so much.
Yeah, and they've got the tag. They could have done the tag match this week and then that this week, but
yeah, they could have done. Yeah, they could have done. You're right.
But I think they did it because they knew KLR wasn't winning. Maybe we'll get a women's tag title change. Maybe
Persia and Indy could be. Yeah, you could be right. And then AEW next week. We kind of already mentioned. Actually, I think there's only 2 matches announced for next week for Dynamite, which is rare. They'll probably announce more in the week, but right now
they'll announce more on Rampage probably.
Yeah,
they'll set a couple of things up on Rampage.
Yeah, right now we've got Santana and Ortiz against Hager and Jericho.
Looking forward to that, of course.
And the no DQ match between Mercedes Martinez and Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, which we talked about earlier. I'm sure that'd be good.
Yeah, it would be
a lot to talk about. I'm sure there'll be a lot to talk about next week.
Yeah, but that's. I mean, already that's looking like a good week of wrestling before we get into what actually happens on the shows. I mean, just those matches.
Absolutely.
Itself. But yeah, I think that's the week covered, isn't it? I think we've gone for everything there.
Yeah, that'll do for this week. Follow us on Twitter at Recharge Wrestle and on Facebook. I mean, no one does, but you can if you want. Also find our YouTube channel. We've got obviously we're part of the Robot Republic community as well. So follow them on Twitter at Robot Republic _, and also their YouTube channel, because our videos go up on there as well. Our YouTube channel, just Recharge Wrestling.
Yeah, you'll find us on there.
So yeah, next week hopefully we're back to a full strength 3-man pod. Follow Recharge Wrestling on all the socials, and Robot Republic, because they've got loads of other great podcasts too, as well as this one. And we'll see you next week.
Yep. See you next week, guys.
Goodbye.